So a friend of mine recommended a few years ago that I check out the Amazon original series Bosch. He knows my tastes and figured I'd enjoy it. It was on my list, but I just never got around to checking it out. But then, about a month ago, Amazon reached out and asked if I'd like to review the 7th and final season. I said yes, so I binged 60 episodes to get me to season 7. Yeah, you heard that right. I've now watched season 7, so should you? Hollywood detective Harry Bosch returns for the final season of this Amazon original series. When a 10-year-old girl dies in an arson fire, Bosch risks everything to bring her killer to justice despite opposition from powerful forces. The highly charged, political sensitive case forces Bosch to face a grueling dilemma of how far he's willing to go to achieve justice. So if you're new to the Bosch series, Season 7, it's not the place to start. While each season has a central case that it focuses on along with some other offshoot cases, there are storylines and themes that carry over from season to season. Titus Welliver continues his role as Hieronymus Bosch, and while he's a bit stiff with both his movements and dialogue delivery, it has been this way throughout the entire show, so at least he's consistent. Season 7 continues to feature all the regular players like Jamie Hector as J. Edgar, Madison Lintz as Maddie, Amy Aquino as Billets, Lance Riddick as Irving, Mimi Rogers as Honey Chandler, and of course the dynamic duo of Gregory Scott Cummins and Troy Evans as Crate and Barrel, respectively. This season also takes the opportunity to bring back some characters from previous seasons that we really haven't seen since the beginning. It provides some nostalgia and allows us to catch up with them, even if it's brief, but it doesn't always provide closure with those characters that they bring back. I think this was more fan service to acknowledge former players in the show that we may have just enjoyed. The case this time is fairly interesting, and as per usual with the show, it intertwines with other side cases to create more drama and suspense. The main case of an apartment fire that ends up killing several people is complicated by influences from both sides of the law. But then that storyline moves towards the background, as another case involving an extremely rich Ponzi schemer leads to a very exciting storyline that had some shocking moments, and it was also enjoyable. It was tense, and it did cause my adrenaline to raise. I like how the show never lost sight of the initial case, and really is Bosch's driving force throughout this season. We can see how it weighs on him and is very influential on his behaviors and then his decisions. So like I said, I binged all 60 episodes in a month so I could get to season 7. The first 6 seasons were comprised of 10 episodes each, and while this final season only has 8 episodes that are each around that 45-minute mark. Now honestly, I would have preferred 2 more episodes because there were portions of this season that just felt a little rushed. Some parts were wrapped up too nicely or conveniently when they could have played out a little longer and still not have felt dragged out. There are a lot of internal police politics that get focused this season, and while some of it is engaging, other portions felt more tired and overdone. I was also worried about J. Edgar's character arc this season. He's got reasons for his actions, but they were more of a dramatic departure from his status quo that it worried me the show would try to transform him in this last season. But I did end up liking his arc. Something else I enjoyed is how once again the show works in character redemption and justice. There are more than a few times where characters need to have a redeeming moment, and eventually they get it. The scenery and landscapes of LA are beautiful when we get to see the skylines, and especially that's true from Bosch's hilltop house. Now, something I found curious throughout the entire series is how quickly the characters can move around the city. I mean, sure, they have lights and sirens so they can just blow through stoplights if they need to, but there is a surprising lack of traffic congestion. Now, I live in California and I've traveled to SoCal enough to know that light traffic is really an anomaly rather than the norm. The character interactions in this season still retain a lot of the camaraderie, tension, and laughs, which makes it enjoyable to watch. Now, I mentioned that this felt like it was rushed a little bit, and at first I wasn't totally thrilled with how the show wrapped up. Parts of it felt undone, and not like the conclusion of a show, but instead felt more like a season finale. I also wanted a different tone to the ending. Now, I'm not saying that I needed it to be sunshine and rainbows, but I also wanted it to end on maybe a slightly happier note. Even still, while I may have preferred a different tone, it still does maintain a similar feel to the way other seasons ended. Now, even though this is the final season of Bosch for Amazon, I did read that a spin-off series will be coming to IMDb TV, which is still owned by Amazon. So, there you go. Does that still count as an Amazon original? Yeah. So I fully acknowledge that this isn't the best produced cop drama ever made, but the characters, stories, and mystery really did begin to grow on me as I watched, and then I really enjoyed the show overall. I don't think this final season is the best of the series, but it does contain a few sequences that are some of the most exciting in the entire show. There's urgency, tension, intrigue, there's growth, and tons of conflict that our characters experience, which makes for an entertaining watch. And this works really well as both a casual watch and as a binge session. So no matter how invested you are in this, it can be enjoyable. I'm now also looking forward to checking out the spinoff to see where it goes and who all is involved. There's no sex, some nudity, a ton of profanity, and quite a bit of violence. I give season 7, the final season of Bosch, 4 out of 5 couches. So are you a fan of the show? Do you have a favorite character or maybe a favorite story arc? I'd love to know yours in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.